Greetings and happy Father's Day and happy Juneteenth. Welcome to another episode of His Will for Your Life. I am your host, Sherry Levon Harris, and we have a special episode for you this evening. We have the men, all male panel discussion on fatherhood, the joy of being a father. You know, these men, they are saved, funny, and they are sincere, and they love the Lord. And we'll be right back. Please share, subscribe, and comment when we get back.
His Will for Your Life with Cherie Harris. This is your weekly Wednesday 7 p.m. podcast. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Informative, hot topic, testimony, interviews, along with your weekly guests and more. And now here's your host, Cherie Harris.
Welcome back, everyone.
Well. What a lovely surprise.
That was nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I like the new intro. I like the way it looks.
Thank you.
Was
God
that
is
old?
good.
Was that old New York?
I have no clue.
It looks like the Twin Towers in the back. Didn't it look like Twin Towers in
I
the back?
don't know. I like the background, so
Yeah,
I
okay.
chose it. Let's see. So the man himself, yes. Let me move the screen so we can get to our men. I will be leaving you all in the hands of these three gentlemen.
You might as
we
well stay
have-
now.
No, I'm not staying. We have Daryl Williams, known as the man himself. We have Pastor Thomas, and we have Ray. And we are going to hear them speak on the joy of being a father.
Amen.
Amen.
You sure you don't want to stay? This is your last opportunity.
No, sir. I'll be in the back. You guys enjoy it.
I'm just saying. Ray? Good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Hopefully all is well in Facebook and YouTube land and wherever else we're being broadcast. I'm Daryl, a.k.a. the man himself from Georgia, by way of heaven. Young, old, middle-aged man, boy, father, whoever you want me to be. First of all, happy Father's Day to everyone and happy Juneteenth to everyone. As always, we got to throw it to our man Ray first, and for the introduction. How you doing, brother?
Hi, I'm doing well. My name is Ray, aka Ray. So not like the man himself. So coming to you from Kansas City, Missouri. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. You just want to start off with an affirmation. You're great, and just congratulations work that you're doing in your children's lives, and pray that work will continue to grow and bear much fruit.
Amen. Brother Thomas, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm Thomas Simpson. I am in New Jersey, I guess by way of heaven as well. And I'm glad to be here. My position is a little unique. I'm not a biological father. I am a godfather, father to many, and I have a daughter through marriage. So I did not have the joy of a bundle in my arms at birth, but nonetheless, I take great pride in being a father.
Your sacrifices are still warranted and they're appreciated, brother. Trust me.
Yes, sir.
Amen. All right, so Now we're gonna get right in it. Fatherhood, the joy of being a father. Whether you're a bonus dad, whether you are a natural dad, godfather, grandfather, whomever. Who wants to go first? I ain't even gonna pick on you this time, Ray. Who wants to go first to talk about being a father?
Well, I'm gonna pick
I'm
on the
going to
man
yield
who
to
has the
Ray.
mic. I'm gonna
You
pick on
gonna
the
give it
man
to
who has
Ray?
the mic, the man himself. You know, I'm gonna
Oh,
let him start telling it.
well, okay. So that's is that how you gonna throw it back at me? Okay, cool.
That's right.
Okay. Let me see. I've been a father for oh gosh, how many years now? For a few years. And honestly, man, it's a job that will never end. When these kids were when these children were born to me, I didn't know anything about being a father at all. I love my father. I love my father with my whole heart. I love my grandfather. But I didn't really get to spend a lot of time with them growing up. So when my first daughter was born, she was born in 2000, and I was turning 22 the very next day after she was born. So I had zero experience with a little baby. And anytime, and I'm gonna tell you this, Thomas, anytime you have a baby for the first time as a dad, I know me for sure, you go crazy on those little kids. You buy them everything that you could think of, only to find out by the time you get to the third or fourth one, like I have, got five total. By the time you get to the third or fourth one, all of that first one got, it all goes out the window. Like you are, I mean, how many children you got, Ray?
Too.
Two. So firsthand. Once you get past that, the newness of these babies, and they start showing up, man. Once you get to that second one, it's like the intensity. Your love remains the same, but your intensity to do the things that you do, it kind of dies out a little bit. So that first one, she got everything, but the other ones, they were, the first one was also the crash test dummy, so to speak. Also, but all the rest of them, they didn't get what she got, and it's not to show favoritism. It's just it's like they ain't gonna break. They're gonna be here. So being a dad, they're not born with instruction manuals. All you got is the Bible. And at the time my children was born, I wasn't even saved. So I had to learn how to be a biblical type father later on. So it was it's amazing. And it's still amazing to this day. So that's how I feel about fatherhood.
Yeah, I hope your kids aren't listening, especially
They can
the
listen.
first
I
one.
tell the truth.
They were a
They can
crash
tell the
test
truth.
dummy. You are in for. You think you have to spend money back then? Man,
You
you are.
listen. I tell the truth to them jokers. I tell them every day. I tell them, hey, look, crash test. Trust me.
Oh goodness. No, the joy of fatherhood. So for me, I never grew up with a father. My biological father was gone. Pretty much at birth. And though I know who he was and know him, there was absolutely zero relationship there. Right? There was
Mhm.
just not in my life. Had a stepfather who I learned some things from, but I would say that the person I learned the greatest amount of things from about being a father was my maternal grandfather, because he was there, and
Mhm.
he took me through. In church today, the pastor who preached, he said, he wasn't a perfect father, but he was a good father. Perfection was not there, but he was a good father. And I'd say that with my grandfather, he wasn't perfect in every
Mhm.
way, but he was it was a good grandfather father to me. So the joy of having children some 32 years later, in my life, it came to me, and a lot of what guided me was a lot of what I didn't want to do. I didn't want, and number one that I didn't want to do is to have me not being in my children's life.
Right.
That was number one. That was
Mhm.
paramount to me. I say, no matter what, um, that my kids are not going to grow up like I did. You
Right.
know, just knowing whom I can even say I have a knowledge of him. My dad passed away about 15, 16 years ago, and to me, there were a couple sad parts in there, because sad part in there, I hear folks saying all these wonderful things of him, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's not my experience, you know?
Right.
And I'm sitting there thinking, man, you missed out on a fine son, you know,
Right.
that you never really got to know, through a lifetime. So just the joy of raising two young men, two teenagers now, and they're young but still not so young, is just to see them grow, and just even recalling the days, the young, when we were babies, and holding my very firstborn, looking bewildered, happy and scared at the same time, because I'm
Yep.
like, wow, I'm a dad, and I got to take care of you, man, and I don't know what I'm doing,
Right.
so
Right.
I'm gonna have to rough it here, and so, but the joy of over the years of watching them grow and watching them come up, and even though I'm divorced now, it hasn't changed in their lives.
Right.
As a matter of fact, that makes me want to be more in their lives, if that makes any sense.
Yep. Yeah.
Because it's like, no, you're not. I'm not going to disappear, out of your lives. I'm not going to disappear from everything that you do. You're going to know that you have a father, not just by name or because this was
Right.
biological. You're going to know because I be there as a father to you.
Amen. Brother Thomas, give us your experience.
So again, I said my experience is a little different as far as not having any biological children. However, the scripture says that Yah puts the solitary in families, so that we are never really alone, or if we are, it's by our choice. All of the children that have been gifted to me, most of them had issues with their father. They had
Right.
some father issue, whether the father didn't know how to relate to them, the father was there but not there, or there was always an issue. So I know by design, I was placed in their life to show them what an earthly father should look like. And I also know that they were placed in my life so that I would know the joy, the trials and the tribulations of being a father. Um, the way we kind of did our unit was we treated each other like sisters and brothers, like biological sisters and brothers. So they don't say my god sister or my god brother. We all say my sister, or they all say my sister and my brother. They all call me dad. That's just how we did this thing. So it's a good thing to watch them now mature and to become adults, and to see them be successful coming into the world. The young lady that was here earlier is Paris. She's my daughter through marriage, and her and her mother, no, me and her mother are no longer together, but I think is a testament that on Father's Day she's here with me, celebrating Father's Day with me, because the one thing that I decided was I'm not going to come in their life and then leave.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. Again, most were already having issues with their father, some issue. So I was not going to be another failed male relationship in any of their lives. One of the most interesting things, though, is in each one of them, I can see myself in them. So it's like, in some sense, it's almost like payback to me. They say your kids are going to give you back what you gave to your parents. Even though I didn't have any biological, trust me, the things that I did, my parents, I have.
We always read what we sow, brother. Well,
good, bad, and ugly.
We always read what we sow. Ain't no way around that.
You never lied.
Ain't no way around
You
that.
never lied on that.
Okay. I got it. My oldest son, he's 25. He's about to be 26. And he's not my natural son, but anybody ask me how many children I have, like five. I just go straight to five. I met him when he was three. And his mom and I got married like a year later or something like that. And when I made him a promise, she and I split up. And I made him a promise. I said, I'll always be there, like no matter what. And his dad was in and out of his life or whatever. um and I always tried to make sure that he had a relationship with his dad. After he became an adult, went off to Air Force, things like that. And I was like, hey, are you have you talked to your dad? Have you spoken to your dad? That was always my thing. And my ex, we'll talk from time to time, and she'll talk about how he says, I'm his father or I'm his dad, but his dad is his father or something like that. I don't know how they put it or whatever, but it makes me feel good because, you know, brother, I tell you like this: it's hard raising these children, and especially ones that you can get to
Mhm.
take on your identity and the good parts of your identity. I say it like that, and to become.
Mhm.
Because I tell my children all the time, my one goal in life for y'all is to not just become adults, but responsible adults. I want you
Right.
guys to just. I'm not trying to just get you grown to get you gone. That's not my goal. I want to make sure that you have the things that I didn't have. And I remember my very first therapist told me, because I was talking to him about my own parents and growing up and things like that. He said the number one thing that you don't ever do is judge your parents. He said because if you do, you become your parents. And I was like, well, I didn't feel like I had a good experience growing up. But praise be unto God, things have gotten better over the years. And actually, my dad, although he was absent in 2004, he came back and he apologized to me for being absent.
Mhm.
And that right there fixed our relationship, like wholeheartedly. And I never wanted that. Like you said, Ray, although your mothers and I split up, that doesn't mean we're going to split up. Um,
Right. Mhm.
and I'm a loner type person. You know what I'm saying? I have my friends and I love my friends. I'm actually an introvert on the inside. So when I'm in, I'm in. I like, my alone time and stuff like that. But no matter what, I'll always break my shell and come out for my children because I love them that much. So yeah, being a bonus dad
Yeah.
is important.
One of the things that I made sure to do was never try to be the replacement dad. I never wanted them
Yeah,
to
right.
dishonor their father. I always told them,
Exactly.
Mm.
you will honor your father. You will. I
Right.
mean, uh, some of them, survived abuse and different things like that. But I always took
Right.
them back to, you still have to honor
Right.
your father. You're not going to treat me better or
Right.
respect me more than you
Right.
do your father. We can't do that. Then what kind of man am
Mhm.
I if I'm trying to exalt myself over their natural father? I
Hmm.
wouldn't be their bonus father or whatever term somebody wants to use if it wasn't for their father. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I never was
Absolutely.
trying to be a replacement father. My job, my role was to be a supplement,
Hmm.
however that looked,
Right.
whether that meant going into my pocket, which was that's part of the job, spending
Absolutely.
time, uh, going to different events, they um, doing cards, hanging them on the refrigerator, doing all of that kind of stuff, to show them that they matter. But at the end of the day, you still got to respect your biological father.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's not my experience, so I don't know what that looks and feel like.
Hmm.
However, I've heard, coming directly from women themselves who, the biological father is termed not a good father, whatever that mean inside of their relationship, and then telling their kids, well, this is your real daddy now, not the other person who actually fathered you. And I think in myself, how wrong is that? Because
Right.
now you're destroying that child.
Hmm.
And so, I'm glad to hear that from you, Pastor Thomas, that your approach there was to say that you are still going to honor your biological father.
Hmm.
Understand that I'm here, but want you to understand that you're going to honor your biological father. So I'm glad you stated that, and I hope those who are listening or will listen, that if they have a feeling that just because the biological dad is this, that, or the other, whatever that might be, that it's okay to not honor them because they're not up to par, whatever that means
Right.
in their lives at that time.
Well, there's a promise attached to honoring your father and your mother. So you'll have long days on earth. That's what the Bible tells us.
Mhm.
But here's a question: what did you guys learn from being fathers up to this point? Ray?
Thanks, man. I think one of the greatest things that I've learned is that, hey, I'm not perfect, right? I'm gonna
Amen.
make mistakes. I've made many mistakes, but
Right.
also one of the greatest things that I've learned and experienced is the power of looking in my children's eye and say, "I'm sorry, I messed up. I blew that."
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
important.
so there is nothing like seeing the child eyes, and it wasn't that, it was like, I got you, you were wrong and I was right. It was just like the look in his eyes. And kind of going over the story, I picked him up. He was coming from a debate tournament, and he was all tore up about what happened in the tournament, all tore up, didn't like the way his coach approached him. And I'm sitting there, I'm listening to this. I'm like, kind of agree with the coach, what he was telling you. And in the meantime, I'm sitting there and he's telling me this, and I'm also laying in him as well,
Hmm.
and trying to tell him that he's wrong, and he should listen to his coach and all that. But by the time along the way home, taking him home, he said, Dad, I didn't need no. We had got home and he was about to get out the car because he was going to his mother's house, and he said, Dad, I didn't need a lecture. I need a hug. And I'm
Right.
sitting there rolling my eyes and drove off. And down the street, the Holy Spirit got a hold of me, and said he is right. And I turned around and went back. I
Hmm.
knocked at the door and he came out, and I looked at him and I said, I am so sorry. You are right. I realize you didn't need a lecture. You need a hug.
Right. Right.
And I mean, when I said that, he was almost like a man just melted and just ran and just gave me a hug. Right.
Right.
And, but the look in his face was like, he got me. He heard
Right.
me.
Right.
you know
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and he's real. He's I'm feeling he's not just here as an authoritarian. He's not just here as a bully. He's not, he's almost like a friend, and he can relate to me.
Right.
But just that thing about just going to him and say, I'm sorry, I messed up, and realize that's human. And those are things that, it breaks down a lot of barriers. If there were any barriers between us that night, known or unknown, they were gone, or at least most of them were gone. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
But just to be vulnerable before your child,
Hmm.
telling them that, hey, I messed up too. I did this when I was younger. I did that, or the way I try to deal with the situation, it wasn't right. I lost my temper, or whatever the case might be. But
Hmm.
just that, it's not something that diminishes you. It actually empowers you
Empowers you.
far more
Absolutely.
than you think.
Hmm. Brother Thomas, what did you learn as a father?
I can agree with me not being perfect. Another lesson is the children are not perfect, and
That's
this
probably the
was
biggest
huge.
lesson right there.
Right. This one was huge.
Mhm.
They're not always going to do what you think they should do.
Absolutely. Especially when the
You
older they
kind of
get.
want them, like, you can give them advice, you
Yep.
can be transparent with them, you can be vulnerable with them, you can show them the steps, and they still gonna do what they want to do. And
Yep.
Mhm.
sometimes one of the biggest lessons was I had to realize they have their own life, they have their own mind. I can't map out every little detail about their life. I can't put guards up, around every. I can't do that. I have to
Right.
allow them to live for themselves, make their own decisions, and just
Yep.
pray that I've already trained them the right way and given them the tools and given them the resources to make good decisions. And sometimes just close your eyes. just, just hope
Brother,
for.
you don't know what you're saying right now. Trust me when I tell you. I
No.
mean, because we all would want to have our children like at the bowling alley where they're bowling, they got the little bumpers up on the side where we'll go into the gutter. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Especially the older they get, the more you be like, I know I didn't teach you that, but at the end of the day, like I said, we train them up in the way they should go. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
and they won't soon part. Even if they do part, I really and truly believe that they'll think about it. It'll be in the back of
Mhm.
their mind. Because my best friend was telling me, they were helping me move into my apartment, and he was telling me how he was talking to my son. My son was in the U-Haul with him, and he said they were just talking, and he said that he heard him say, "Oh no, man, my dad killed me." he said, he said when he said that, he said, "I knew." He said, "Man, this dude really did something with these children." And I mean, because what I learned with my children, from becoming a father was this: that you can love them equally, but you can't love them the same.
No.
I think that's the biggest the biggest misconception people really have. And by equally, I mean, yeah, I can spend the equal amount of time, I can spend the equal amount of money, I can do all of that, but I can't love them the same because I got 5 different personalities that I've had to looking after. And now here it is, the Scooter may need me to rough him up a little bit, but Sugar Mama just need me to give her a hug. And then
Mhm.
Destiny, she may need me to be a listening ear at times, whereas Demarcus just needs a text. Hey, good morning, son. I'm proud of you. Then you got Daryl Jr., who is like every spitting image of who I am. And it's like, well, dang, how did I get an exact copy of myself? Now, I just hope he only takes on all the good parts of me. But, sometimes,
Right.
I'm scared. Sometimes I'm like, well, please, God, don't let this boy jump off this ledge. Don't you know what I'm saying? Don't let him go to the point where I got to go, fishing in the mud and come drag him up out of there. But I mean, like I said, I can love them equally, but I can't love them the same. And I wish it was a way to put our children on cruise control, but we can't. Like it's impossible for us to do that. And being a dad is not easy.
No.
Mom, we know she gets all the, she gets the accolades. And, Pastor Sherry was talking about how, her and Julian went to breakfast this morning, but they couldn't get in because it was busy. My eyes got big, like, what? Because, Father's Day is nothing like Mother's Day. You can't go anywhere on Mother's Day, but Father's Day, you can walk to your favorite steakhouse and walk straight to the counter and sit down.
Yeah.
But
I put it like this, Daryl, because when people ask me, how do I deal with my sons, I said, my standards for them is exactly the same.
right,
How I approach them to get them to attain that standard is different
different,
because they're
absolutely.
different.
Yep,
They're absolutely different. So they require, and even them, they'll look, well, you're harder on this one than you're harder on me, or why are you picking on me? I'm like, you have to understand that the older one doesn't need the same kick in the butt to go do his
right,
homework, but the younger one
yep,
do. The younger one
right,
doesn't need this much, but the older one do. So I
right,
have to understand them, but also I let them understand that at the end of the day, you're all held to the same standard. Okay. How we
absolutely,
get there,
absolutely,
different path, but we're ending up in the same place. So that,
absolutely,
so hopefully, they come to understand that it's not a love for you anymore than another person. You're different. And I have to treat you as different,
mm-hmm.
right? I can't treat you as the same because as much as y'all look the same, y'all are not the
Right,
same, right? You
right,
process things differently. For
yep,
one, yelling might work. The other one, yelling might not work.
right,
And so
right,
I have to know that about my child, each of them, and I have to respond to them appropriately if I want them to hear me. And think I don't have any more hair left, so I can't say I'm gonna pull out my hair.
So I'm reaching for
But
your eyebrows next, brother.
reach for the highbrow now. But now and thank God that I can truly say they're good boys, and they are good young men, because I've not really called them boys, but good young men, and they have grown well and listening. But even the times when they weren't listening, it's like my favorite thing now with my oldest, who's about to go to college in the fall. My favorite thing to tell him now, we're going to have this discussion in about 10 years from now. And,
Right.
when we get into a discussion, we're going to talk about this in about 10 years from now. And we will see where we end up, and, so that's my favorite. And I've been telling this for years, and, joyfully. So, one day came to me, remember when you told me this and I wouldn't listen? Now realizing you were right. I don't have to say anything. I just shake my head and I said, thank you. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah. I had a friend say that. I had one of my close friends said that he said he was growing up. He had number brothers, and he said on the day he was leaving to go to the army, he said he realized. No, he said after he got to the army, he said, man, I realized my dad was the smartest man in the world. He said because everything that he said is happening, and he was like, hey, that's what it is. And I think that's what like let's move into this. Like, what's the best piece of wisdom you think you gave to your children? And I'll go first, and I tell my children this: accept free wisdom while you can. And the reason why I say this is because this wisdom may cost me $100, but it may cost you 100,000. And I've already gone down the bumps and the bruises and the roads and things like that. I say to them, I said, let's put it like this: if I tell you, you walk down that path with a yellow shirt on, that dog is going to bite you. Accept the fact that I'm saying that. Now, if you go down there with any other color on, you good. But if you wear yellow, it's going to bite you. So if you decide to go down there with neon yellow, whatever, you end up getting bitten, you just bought wisdom. And so I tell them, take this free wisdom while you can. So what's the one thing that you think you told your children thus far that you feel like is super important to them? Besides salvation, of course.
I think one of the things I tell them, I try to be brutally honest, is that life is not always fair. Right?
Right.
You're never going to get the things that you think you deserve. Right? And it's not fair. And how do we deal with that? How do we let that not trip us up into a place where we become debilitated, can't move because we weren't treated fairly, we didn't get the outcome we want. Right. So I tell them that life will be a challenge and not everything is going to go straight. So let me help you trying to figure out now how to deal with the difficult times. And the first thing I always tell them, don't judge the other person. Try never to judge the other person, and always take responsibility for your actions first and foremost. What did I do? What could I have done better? And maybe you did everything that you can do. And if you did everything that you can do and it was left up to someone, you didn't get the outcome, you have to accept that. When you know that you did everything that you can do, you have to accept the outcome. And sometimes you just have to say, I did what I could. And, I can go and rest well at night knowing that I did everything that I could. I didn't get the outcome. And you're going to have to be okay with that. You got to have a final reconciliation point that you are okay with that, because this life is not always fair.
Okay. Thomas?
One of the things on the screen that I have told my kids, two things. One, say what you mean what you say, and be ready for the consequences. So just be truthful. Say what you mean what you say. So don't say something. Don't say, like, if you want A, say you want A. Don't say you want B and think somebody's going to give you A. No, say I want A.
Right.
Then you can accept. Right, you can accept those consequences. The other thing I say is, if people say things about you, you don't got to concern yourself with that. If it's true, if you did it and it's true, accept it. You either got to accept it and change, or just accept it and you just
deal with what happens. Yep.
Right. Or it's not true.
Right.
And if it's not true, you don't got to waste your time. Don't waste your time on it. Just keep going on with what to be the truth. I always say people are going to talk. Just don't let what they say about you, if it's negative, be true.
Change. Yep. Don't let it
Mhm.
Don't let
change who
that
you
be
are. Yep.
right.
You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
the question on the screen was, is there anything you wish you had asked your parents but didn't? Come on, Thomas. I'm gonna give Ray a
Mhm.
break.
Is there anything that I wish I would have? I don't know. As I've gotten older, I will ask questions. I'm more concerned um, about health issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think people should know their heritage, their lineage, so that they can know what things they may face. For example, if someone, let's say, has a strong lustful spirit, let's say that they were promiscuous when they were younger, um, let that be known in a as clean as you can, so that the child knows this is why I'm going through this, or this is why I'm facing this, because some of these
Mm-hmm.
spirits are generational spirits. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's really anything that I wish I would have asked my parents and didn't ask, because they're pretty open. Not
Mm-hmm.
like, not just raw open, but they're pretty open with life. So I don't know if there's anything that I didn't ask or wish I would have asked. I don't know if there's anything like that.
Brother Ray.
Yeah, I'm with Brother Tom, Pastor Thomas here. I don't know that there's anything necessarily. I mean, my temptation would be to ask my dad why he didn't want me. That would be my temptation. But as the older I get, I realize, okay, that happened for a reason, and whatever that reason was, I don't know what I probably was saved from, you know, not having a close relationship with him, right? I don't know. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
take it that, all right, there was some reason back there. God hasn't revealed that reason, and he may never reveal that reason. So the first temptation would be to ask my dad, why didn't you want me? Why I wasn't favored in your eyes or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there is anything. I would have asked my mom, because there's six of us. I would have asked my mom, where, that the probably only question I'd ask her is where she got her strength to hold her head high and hold it down, and did what she had to do for her children.
Mm-hmm.
Where she got that strength from, because I certainly learned that strength from her, seeing her doing that. And but I kind of know where she got that strength from. It was her kids, and she loved us, and she had a determination. Like, it doesn't matter who, what, when, where, why. Come, I think you should say, come hell or high water. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm gonna be there. And that's an easy thing. And wherever that come from, I don't know. Her parents were together, all throughout her lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So not like she saw one parent struggle over the other, but I think she just at some point realized that these are my kids. I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to do what I have to do.
Oh boy. Okay, I guess I should answer this question. Now, fortunately, my parents are still alive, and if I need to ask them something, I can just call, dial their numbers. My dad don't answer regular phone calls. You got to call him on FaceTime. I don't know how he gets so high and lifted up that he can't answer regular phone calls. But I have questions. I'm not gonna lie. I have questions more so for, well, really for both, but more so for my mom, concerning our bloodline and where we come from. Lately I've been dealing with some things, and I was like, okay, I need to go in the spirit and correct some things. And so, but I don't know much about my mom's side of the family, her dad, siblings, or anything like that. But that's about it. It's one of those things. My grandfather, when I say grandfather, I mean on my dad's side of the family, my paternal grandparents. My grandmother's still here, praise God. But my grandfather, he passed away in 2011. And this man was one of the greatest men I ever knew. He taught me a lot. He taught me how to clean hogs. He taught me how to clean deer. he taught me how to do a lot of stuff. He was a hardworking man. My grandmother never had a job a day in her life. He worked on the railroad. He raised my aunt as his own, because my grandmother had a daughter when she met him, and then she now fortunately she gave him nine more. The second one belonged to me, was my dad, but he's a junior. And I'm surprised I didn't get named Trey the third, but I guess my mom didn't like his name. But my dad's name was Moses, and I'm like, that's a powerful name, but she chose Daryl, so it is what it is. But it's a powerful name too. But that's about it. I would want to just know as much as I could about my ancestors, my grandfather, my mom's dad, things like that. I never really thought about any of these things, before I got saved or before I started learning more and how bloodline really is important, spiritually. I'm not into the new age stuff, so this is gonna have to be something that God does in my life. And so, yeah, that's the one thing I would want to know. I hear we have some more questions, but I don't see them. So, okay, here we go. What happy memory will you cherish forever as a father? Oh, that's easy. I saw all of my children born except one. Sugar Mama was the first. She was on the fast track. She couldn't wait. I was over the road. She couldn't give me like another 2 hours. But seeing them born, that was like the greatest thing ever. And it's like, dang, two people get together and make this baby, and this human being, that's like the number one thing ever to me. What about you, Ray?
Mhm.
Oh, you too, Thomas?
Well, for me, it's just seeing them become responsible adults. To see
Absolutely.
them
That's good
go
too.
into their purpose.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Ray?
Yeah, I remember one of the things that will forever stuck in my mind. This was my oldest son. He was about a year and a half at this point. And I'd gone away. I was working for Deloitte at that time. We had a week long training in Phoenix, Arizona, and I left that Sunday. Actually, came back that Thursday night, but it was pretty late. And then I got up early and went to the office in the morning, and came back home around 2 o'clock. And I opened the door, and I just remember that he was sitting there with his mom playing, and I opened the door, and he just threw everything aside and just ran into my arms and just gave me the biggest hug. It's like the saying is like, don't ever leave me like that again.
Please.
But that moment there has been seared forever in my
Right.
mind. Just remembering that, just remembering just that particular moment there. And it was just like the joyous kid, and hadn't seen me for a week, and then
Right.
just came running into my arms. But there's just many moments, and it's just moments like that, silly moments with them, where I just sit back and laugh and chuckle about, remember when you used to do this, remember, I used to put them in a clothes basket and just drag them around. And
Right.
it's the best thing I ever did and the worst thing, because you got there, I tried to stop again,
Exactly.
they just want to go. And just like,
Exactly.
but they just enjoy that. And it's just the silly moments, us playing in the dark, and they found so much joy in just, us, messing
Simple
around in the
stuff.
dark, just simple stuff that
Yeah.
didn't take, a whole lot of anything to do, just use regular stuff around the home. But those are just some of the greatest memory that's just in my mind, in my heart, that's just joyful.
One of the things I
I,
found out about children is they need time. It's not so much
absolutely.
money. The money,
Right.
was good, but they like time. Are you
Right.
here for me? Um, are we together? Are we spending time together? Different. They want time. That's what they want.
Mhm.
That's what makes them successful in life, is knowing that somebody cares about them.
And to
Mhm.
bolster to add to your point, Ray, I remember my children, man. Look, I'm a truck driver, so I missed a lot of their childhood. I didn't get to see anybody take their first steps because I was over the road. But like you buy them little jokers gifts, and they spend all their time. You be like, man, I know they're gonna love this gift right here, and they spend all their time playing with the box. the box that the gift came in. It's like, really? Come on, man. Do you know how much I paid for this? They don't even care. It's just like
Yeah.
the box is more exciting to them. And it's like, man, you know
Mhm.
what? I can't stand you, little joker, but I love you anyway. I love you anyway. What's the next question, producer? I know she's okay. When you think about a fork in the road in your life as father, what was it and why did you choose that particular path? Ooh, ooh. Okay, so what's the fork pertaining to? Is it like career, relationship? I mean, what is there anything that is particular that's pertaining to? Well, you know what?
A major decision.
Hey,
You just
hey.
want to be on a major decision in your life that would, um, you know, it would. I can't explain it. Would it will pretty much is a
I
major
have an
decision
answer.
that you make for your family. You have an answer. Thank
Uh-huh.
you. That you make for your family.
Yeah.
I
So
have one too. I got you now.
okay, goodbye.
Come
Wow.
on, come on, Thomas. Come on,
So,
brother Thomas.
no, as I said, I'm not being a biological father, but being in Paris's life. And her mother and I were having issues. We had gone to counseling, and we were deciding on whether or not we were going to remain together. So I made the decision uh, to leave. Um, but I also knew that that would require extra work
Mm-hmm.
as far as now, where it was automatic when I came home from work, Paris would be there. Now I would have to make time to go see her. I would have
Mm-hmm.
to be more intentional with time. And so for a while, I faltered in that area because, in one sense, it was almost a relief from the pressure of marriage
Mm-hmm.
and the things that were going on. So then I had to kind of regroup and remember, you made a promise to this young lady that you were going to be there as her father.
Mm-hmm.
So put your stuff to the side and go
Mm-hmm.
man up and do what you said that you were going to do. Some people feel like, well, if we stay, the child will be less affected. I didn't feel that way. I felt the way
Right.
things were going, there might be more adverse effects. So let me remove myself so at least she can have a happier, more settled home than to see two parents going at it all the time. So that was a major decision in my life to leave, but also knowing that I now have to be even more intentional in my interactions with her because I'm not physically present.
Uh-huh. Right.
Well, mine is kind of down the same road, and it was, at the point when me and my ex was getting divorced, and it was time to live up, kind of way to, understand that, my kids are gonna be in my life no matter what, no matter where I'm gonna be, and so the to me the major decision was that I had to win my kids back over again,
Mm-hmm.
let them understand that despite what happened between me and their mom, it doesn't mean that we don't remain. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that things change with me. I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to pick up. We moved together to Missouri, and I'm not going to run back to North Carolina or Connecticut just because of this, right?
Right.
And just had to be present in every single way and let them understand the promise that I made to you, and the outward promise that I made to them is that whatever you are in, I'm in it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter. Whatever you, if you're in it, I'm in it, right? And so, and I had to stay close to them, and it was tough for them, especially my older one, during the breakup. And it was like, so I had to win him more to show him that, okay, um, I can't discuss the details of her divorce with you because you're young. These are not matters that we ought to be discussing, right? And so I had to be intentional about everything. I had to, listen to his wrath that he's gonna, tell me what he thought about me in anger, and realize that, okay, this is anger speaking, this is disappointment speaking, and I got to get through that. I still got to reach him through that. I can't let that dictate, how I'm going to act towards him. And, so it was that, time for me to man up about where I am, what I've said, promises that I made, and say, you know what, I'm here. I'm here, and I'm going to be here, and doesn't matter where you end up, I'm going to be there. And
Right.
and you're going to know it.
And that's the thing. Like, okay, we've done a show on divorce before, but as a dad, like that's probably the hardest thing I ever had to do. Or yeah, I said yeah, one of the first hardest things I've ever had to do, concerning my children, because we all, yeah, I did everything I could to make it work. When I say it like this, when I finally started taking my marriage seriously, because I was young and I didn't know what I was doing. When I started taking it seriously, I did everything that I could to make sure that I was always there, and um, make sure that my children knew. And so in Georgia, we had to take when parents are going through a divorce, you have to take a parenting class. And honestly, I got to be honest with you, that's probably one of the best decisions the state could have ever made, because it allowed me as a dad to see how to deal with everything that comes along with being in a divorce. And the two things that I remember most were, don't use your children as telephones, communicate between back and forth between those two, and also to make sure that they know that it's not their fault.
Mhm.
My baby girl, she took that part the hardest, and it's like we did everything we could to make her understand that it's not your fault. And I think a lot of children take that in their mind for whatever reason, and run with it. It's like, well, mom and dad is getting divorced because of me, and they have these behavior modifications, you know, or changes or whatever you want to call them, and it's like that's all unwarranted because you don't need to do that. This has zero to do with you, and a lot to do with two adults that couldn't work it out. That's all. I think that was the probably one of the hardest things that I had to deal with as a dad was, being able to let them know, and not just that, and a career choice. Again, I wasn't saved, nor was I in a career when my children was born. I didn't go into trucking until 2004. I had my first child in 2000. So a lot of stuff I had to be able to do from the road, and it wasn't easy, but it was either go to truck driving school or go to the army. I was this close to the army, but truck driving school won. So, and that's what it was for me. But I got more questions. What's the next question, producer? Ooh,
Changes them
well,
forever.
it's hey for me now. Real talk. When I found out my baby Destiny was being born, she made me grow up. Like she literally made me grow up in that moment, and she wasn't even. I didn't know what she looked like. I didn't know anything, but a sense of awareness of being an adult came over me at that moment. That's how it affected me as a man. What about you, Thomas?
I agree. It changes men forever.
Right.
If a man is going to be responsible, you now know that you are living not just for you, but you're living for someone else,
Somebody else. Yep.
and right, and not just for that person, but if they have children,
Yep.
they have children as well. The scripture. We focus on uh, children. Obey and honor your mother and father, but there's a second clause. What my son used to always say to me: "And fathers, provoke not your children to
Your
wrath."
children. Yep. There you
He
go.
would throw that all the time. Father, like, okay, I have to honor you, but you also have to make sure
Yeah.
that you
That
don't
word
provoke.
can beat you every time. That were the
So, but
two-edged sword. You
it
can't
makes
swing
you
it without
more
being cut.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Man, everybody love to call men into what they're supposed to do, even the kids.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I agree. It changes you, and it made you grow up real quickly in the sense that you have to remember now it's not about you. It's about that child.
Yeah.
And your wants, your desire, because your life changed. Your life changes, and if your mindset doesn't change along with that change, then you're going to be in for a real hurting, and that the real hurting unfortunately falls down to the child because they're the one who's going to get neglected, who are not going to get your time and attention that they need. And so yeah, I think it changes, and for the men that doesn't happen in, where that change doesn't take place, and that's where you see a lot of the hurt happening most of the
Mhm.
times. Now, man could change a man, you could still see those hurt happening, but when that doesn't change, because I think we lose something if we're not in the mindset that we're fathers now and we have little ones who we have to bring up, and we have to teach them the right things. We have to be there. And like you said, Pastor Thomas, a lot of parenthood is not about the money you can spend, right? It's about the time you spend.
They
It's
won't ever
about
remember the money.
those children, right?
Yeah, they won't
They
ever
might
remember it.
remember going here and there, but at the same time, what's on the line is that we were together.
Right.
We were there. It's not just went to Disney or went wherever we went. Is that us, we're
Right.
there together.
My grandfather taught me a crazy. It was a major lesson he taught me. I used to, my dad, like I said, he was absent, but my grandparents were like A1. So I remember I first had Destiny, and that's my oldest, and I took her down there, and if my grandma or anybody at my grandma's house cooks, Daryl gonna eat. You bet that. But I remember I was there. My grandfather was there, and I said, "Oh, I need to get me a plate." And my granddad was like, "Well, what about her?" And I'm looking like, "She better get in when she fit in, but she's my baby, of course." And he was like, if you eat, she has to eat.
Mm,
And that stuck with me for like my whole life because she was probably maybe one or two at the time. It's
mm,
like I know she ain't want no collard greens and all that stuff like I did, but it was a valuable lesson, and I took it with me. If I eat, they have to eat, whether we're at the same table or not. And I even to this day I still hold on to that. If I eat, they have to eat. So yeah, we go. I think we got another question before we get out of here. Ooh, oh man, this is okay. What are three roles of a father? Come on, Ray.
mm. Woo. That's a hard one.
Hey, yeah, because we
Um,
can write a book on that one.
I don't know. Let me open the Bible and get back to you on that one.
Exactly.
Three quick ones.
No,
Three quick
Five
ones.
I
quick
think,
questions.
just off the top of my head, I think it's a teacher, a protector, and a guide. I mean that's the three things that I say: a teacher, a protector, and a guide. We have to teach. We said this so many times. We got to train up a child in the way they should go. That's a teacher. Got to teach them
Right,
about life lessons, right? We have to protect them. And sometime in that protection, we got to let them do what they want to do, because then we can tell them till we're blue in the face and they're not going
yep,
to listen to us. But there's a protection there. There's a level of protection which we are going to offer to them, and we're not going to see them, jump over the railroad tracks. Right?
right,
We might let you get close to it, and when you realize that you ought not to get close to it, but I tell them I'm the biggest protector of you all. Right?
right,
So I
right,
mean, if they don't even understand that, they will. And I said, let anybody be foolish enough to try and do something to you, and then you
right.
will absolutely see how much of a protector. And just to it's a teacher, protector, and what's the third one I said? Um,
Provide,
um,
Provide.
provider. Yeah,
provider. Yeah, I got to provide for you. I'm gonna provide for you. Later as you keep going
What'd you say?
in
You on
life
mute?
here, my provision for you changes as you get older, right?
Right.
Right now it changes. It's going to change a little bit. As you go out there, go to college. I want to go to college next year. When you graduate and you start working, my provisions for you change, right, a little bit, but
They're
at the
gonna
same
dry
time,
up
I
all
am
this
I
fast.
am still there.
Right.
Parenting doesn't stop because your child is out work and have their own home. You're still a parent
Right.
to the day you die, and that doesn't stop.
You said something, Pastor Sherry. What'd you say?
His third one was guide.
Oh,
God,
guide. There you go.
God,
My bad.
thank you.
But we
But
all thinking provider
it's,
though.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
provide a guide. Again, yeah, I have to guide him through this life.
Right.
And I got to provide that guidance. And again, just like I said, sometimes that guidance doesn't heed it. So it's like, okay, now that we're here, what do we do? I'm going to help you. I'm going to go back and say, you are never, as long as there's breath in my body, you are never alone.
Right.
Okay, because I'm going to be, doesn't mean I want to do everything for you. That's not what that means. But I'm going to
Right.
be right there with you. I'm going to help you through this. So
Right.
I'm not going to let you deal with this on your own.
Pastor Thomas.
I agree.
Those your three also?
Yeah. Well, I had said provider, but
Okay.
so we discussed that already.
Well, me myself, the number one thing I think I am is an intercessor. That's probably the hardest job ever. My next is definitely a protector. And the number one thing I am, I believe, is a truth teller. Like, because if I don't tell them the truth, who will? If I don't give it to them raw, if I don't give it to them straight, who will? It's because, hey, like you said earlier, life ain't gonna be fair, and so I need you to understand that from this moment going forward. I've seen my children do some amazing things, but I know the amazement hasn't finished yet. There's still a lot they have to do, and so I'm proud of them, and I tell them all the time how proud I am. And I know, excuse me, they need love, they need affection, they need affirmation, they need a lot of things, but they definitely need my prayers. When you got children, you're never out of a job because you're gonna always be before God when it comes to them.
Always.
No matter what the issue may be. If it, when your son falls in love and he gets his heart broken, you got to go to God for that. But you're secretly laughing because it's going to get better. Yeah, but at the same time, if your daughter falls in love and she gets heartbroken, you ain't laughing because you want to go and choke somebody's son out. I'm
Right.
just saying. So, by the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. Those things I know for sure that I need to be for them. And at
Right.
times I need to be a friend as well. Sometimes you gotta, I had to take the dad hat off and say, I had to tell my daughter the other day, if you want to talk, just be who it is that you are. There'll be no judgment. And
Mhm.
and that's one thing I did. I pride myself with my children growing up. I'm that parent. I allow my children to express themselves. And the reason
Yes.
why I say that I'm that person because I don't want them to grow up to be afraid to speak truth to power.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
I don't want them to not have a voice. If somebody's mistreating them in certain positions, I don't want them to cower down and not stick up for themselves because they saw me every time they had an issue. I just shouted them down. I never wanted to be that person. I
Mhm.
always because I had it growing up. We didn't get to say, well, I'm grown and that's it. But growing up, you see, yeah, you grown and that can't be it because there's always another side to it. And so that's
Mhm.
one of the biggest things that did. I like to say that I did for my children growing up.
Yeah, our rule was you can say whatever you need to say. You just have to be respectful.
You got to be
Yeah.
respectful. That's the only thing. Just be respectful.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's it. Pastor Sherry, we got any announcements?
Yes, we do have some announcements. These gentlemen will be back on the 5th Wednesday of this month with the responsibility of being a man, part 3.
Part
So
three.
get ready. Yes.
Okay,
Start
yeah.
Our brother will
thinking.
be here next time.
That's on the 29th. But on Wednesday, the 22nd, we have Jamila Thomas with the title of Saved, Sanctified, and Shacking. That's
Finally, somebody finally doing that show.
somebody finally brave
Somebody
enough
finally doing that show.
on the show, right?
Wow.
So Jamila Thomas, saved, sanctified, and shacking is the
I may
topic
have to
for
join y'all
next
for that
week.
one.
Yes.
I
Well,
may
this
make
week
it. I may
actually
make
is
it.
Wednesday.
I may come on. I probably will. We'll see. Because I want to be part of this one.
You want to be part of it?
I do. I do. Because we've been trying to get people to that show for a
Do
while.
we have to censor the show if you come on?
Probably.
No, no, no,
Disclaimer.
no. You know what show you got to censor when I come on. We ain't gonna talk about it right now though.
Yeah, so that's it for this week. And then next month, whew, we have some topics for next month.
It's gonna be some fire.
Yeah, some fire.
Okay. All hearts and minds clear.
Oh, hearts and
Hearts and
minds
minds.
are clear.
Ray, you got any parting words for dads out there?
No, yeah, I mean, this part where, I know dad gets a bad rap from everywhere, and it's hard to even see good in yourself when you're trying to do good, sometimes, because when dad's messed up, it gets amplified, and
Yep.
it doesn't matter how little or how small it is. But I'm going to tell you, dads who are out there doing your thing, keep on doing your thing. Said it up there earlier that we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. And the best thing you can do is just admit to your mistakes and move on. All right. And, keep up the good work. Keep encouraging your children. Keep raising them in the Lord. Keep showing up for them. Keep telling them you love them. And everything that you do as a great dad, I'd encourage you to keep doing it. And if you're not doing it, it's not too late to start doing it. Your children will appreciate hearing that you love them. Even if it's the very first time, and the very first time be shocking to them if it's the first time they're hearing it from you. But let them know. Because they're going to take that into parenthood when they get there. And we want to give them as much positive attributes as we can to take into parenting their own child when they get to that point. So dads, keep up the good work. You're great. And just continue to love on your children.
Pastor Thomas.
Just very quickly, just be the best you that you can be.
Amen.
Be the best you.
The man himself. Oh, that's me. I'm just gonna say, you know what, dads, do your dad thing. God dog it. Your best example of a dad is God. Jesus is your joint heirs with Him. We weren't put here to be perfect. We were just put here to be purposeful. And the thing about it is, your children can appreciate your honesty, your transparency. Not saying you reveal everything that happened. It's some great dads that were single dads, raised their children on their own. And there's some dads out there that can use a little work to get in their children's lives, and we hold everybody accountable around here. We want people to, we want dads to have a better face, so to speak, and it's best to start with yourself. It's best to say, what can I do better? Even till this day, I still think about what I can do better with these young adults that I have, because I'll never stop being their dad.
Mhm.
I'll never stop having to deal with their mothers. It's life. It is what it is. The vast majority of relationships nowadays are mixed relationships. So if you're gonna enter into a relationship with a woman with children, understand it's a package. It is what it is. It's a package, and there's no use of getting bitter. There's no use of getting angry. Just do the job that you say that you want to do, and just be the very best person you can be. That's all I have. And make Jesus the foundation of your family.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think I'm going to join you guys the next panel discussion because I'm going to
Why?
because I'm going to have some questions for you. That's why.
Oh, you're gonna moderate. Okay. All right.
Yes.
You're gonna
Oh,
moderate.
boy.
Okay.
All right, bring it on.
All
We're
right.
ready.
You
All right.
We'll be prayed up then.
Want your
Yeah.
We'll be prayed and fasted by then, and so be ready for you.
oh
Shout out
God.
to our brother, Pastor Troy.
Yeah, we don't get Pastor Troy, but we miss him. Pastor Troy is
Yeah,
he's
we
wild.
miss him.
He's wild. Yeah. So hopefully he'll be joining us next Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay.
We're
Well,
here.
stay
Ready.
tuned for Saved, Sanctified, and Shacking on Wednesday.
Gotta see this. Hey, hey, young
That
lady.
sounds good.
Yes. So we're going to close out. We thank you all for joining us tonight again. Meet us back here Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will have another episode for you. It will be in interview form. So, whew, be ready, y'all. We're
I
talking
had
real
fun.
talk. Yeah. So you guys
I
stay in
had
the
fun.
back and we'll be right back.
Amen.
Take care, y'all.
Join us again next week for another riveting, informative segment